Hi guys, so it's about 12:30 in the morning. Can't sleep, so I figured I'd upload another bottle information video. I haven't done one of these for quite a long time. I'd say at least 6 years. So, and this is a video I've really wanted to make for a long time. Especially for people who are just getting into the hobby. I'm gonna teach you guys how to spot a reproduction. So, spotting a reproduction can be an easy but sometimes frustrating task. You really have to know what to look for. And me, I've been doing this a long time, so I just know instantly if a bottle is fake. You know, fake. And before we get into the video, I'd like to mention there are two types of reproductions. There is the reproductions that are just fakes and they're not worth anything, and there is the other kind, which are the old reproductions. And believe it or not, they have been making reproductions since the 1920s. Yeah, I know, that seems really hard to believe, but it's true. It's true. So, let me flip the camera around, and I got three bottles on the floor, and I'm going to teach you guys how to spot a reproduction. Okay, so first thing is, don't mind the mess. Like I said, it's better than it was in here, but it's just, that's the downside of running an eBay business. So, the first thing I want to teach you guys is to spot a reproduction is to look at the bottom of a bottle. Okay, we'll just use any bottle for example. So turn it over, look at the bottom, and if you see anything like Wheaton or made in China, made in Japan, any weird name on the bottom, I actually have a professional bottle book right here, and I'll show you guys. All the things you can look for to spot a reproduction. So you see a bottle that says any of these on the bottom, it's an instant fake. So don't, I'm not saying don't buy it, but just want to make sure you guys can tell the difference between a real bottle and a fake bottle. So next thing we're going to talk about is I have these three down here for an example. So these are called ribbed flasks. For anybody who don't know, it's because the bottle, it twists around and it ribs. And these bottles date between 1820 and 1845, I'd say. And I'm just using these for an example. So there are other styles of reproductions and various sizes, but I'm just using these as an example. So the first one we're going to look at is this one. So the first thing you can do to tell a reproduction is feel it. If it feels wicked smooth, like it's been like it just came out of a tumbler, or like, I don't know how to describe it. It'll just feel really, really smooth. And it's in smooth too in places where it shouldn't, and I'm going to get to that in a second. It just feels really smooth. The second thing is if you look at a bottle like this and the seam goes all the way through the top right here, it's at least after 1903, which would prove it's a reproduction. Now, keep in mind, very important fact, not all bottles that have the seam go all the way through the top are fake. I'm just saying, because 1903 is when they came out with the automatic bottle machine. I'm referring to the bottles where the seam goes to the top and bottles that look like this. Because, like, let me see if I have an example up here. There's a poison bottle. You can see this one is not a reproduction, but the seam still goes all the way through. That just means it's machine made. Probably from the teens or 20s. My point being is, not all bottles that have the seam go through the neck are reproductions. Second thing you need to know is the color. Okay, so I knew this was a fake instantly. I bought this in a bottle lot. A guy had a bunch of bottles. I bought them for resale. And this is where, you have to have, I'd say at least a mid-level of knowledge in bottles. So take a look at the color. Okay, this is like a sapphire blue, cornflower blue, whatever you want to call it. So what I just said earlier is these bottles normally date to about 1820s to 1845. They did not have this color in 1845. They did not come out with blues until 1870s maybe. But so the first thing is the color. You know, it's an odd color. It's not something they would have had back then. Is my point. Second thing is this is the most common thing that confuses people into thinking a bottle is real. Is when it has a panel mark. That could not be further from the truth. So Pontold bottles date between 1740 to 1860s. I'd say like early 1860s is when they stopped doing Pontold bottles. So this panel mark is what you do is you feel it, and it'll be really really smooth. This is what I was talking about earlier. If this bottle was really from the 1840s, this panel mark would be all jagged. Like it'd feel rough. Like if you rub your thumb over it, it'd feel like it cut your thumb. It wouldn't be smooth like this. And yes, there is bottles called refired panels that are smooth, but you can see that this is supposed to be like a jagged panel from the 1840s, but it's all smooth. Like there's no jaggedness to it. So that's one way to ID, a panel mark. Usually the panel will be very jagged. And I have this one here. This is a bigger one, but this is another color that I'll show you. This is almost like a purple color. I don't think it's showing up on the phone very well, but yeah, see there you go. It's like a purple color. They didn't have amethyst color back in the 1840s. Also, the top, you can ID the top too. So you see how they tried to make this look old by making it like droopy and make it look like an applied top. Well, if this was really an applied top, it'd have little shards hanging down attached to the glass. Or it would be jagged again, or it would have some marking on it. It wouldn't be entirely smooth like this, is my point. And same thing goes for this one, this gold colored one. You can see they tried to make it look like an applied top, but it's all smooth. Like let me see if I can grab an applied top bottle real quick so I can show you guys what I really mean. All right, sadly, guys, I don't have a bottle for an example right now, but let me see if I can find something. Maybe this GSP is early enough to. No. Alright, guys, sadly, I don't have a bottle that mimics that age range because that would be like 1840s, and I don't have a real bottle, unfortunately, to show. But I hope you get the idea that, it's not supposed to be smooth like that. So I hope that gives you guys kind of a brief summary of how to spot a reproduction. In my personal opinion, I don't think reproduction should exist because it fools people into thinking they're real, and they end up spending a lot of money on a bottle that is fake. And that really, really makes me angry. And I just wish, I could do more about it. But hopefully this video will teach you guys how to spot a reproduction. Now keep in mind, like I said, there is older reproductions that are worth some from the 20s and 30s, but I don't have an example of those, so you just have to do the proper research. Research that particular bottle and figure out, okay, did it come in this color? Use all the information I just shared with you, and then you can figure out if it's real or fake, or not real or fake. If it's an older reproduction or a newer reproduction. So I hope that helped. Hope you guys are all doing well. Boss Man Digger signing off.